What's up, everybody?
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel,
The Homesteader's Honest Review Show.
So today we're going to be talking about no gatekeeping and no spending money that you guys don't have to spend because we already did it.
That's right. Let us do it, you guys, and you can find out later.
So we spent tons of money on different programs and classes and seminars on how to sell meat direct to consumer.
That's right. I mean, like many people, you're going to want to do it right and do it right the first time. So that's what we tried doing.
And every homesteader wants to know how you can make money from home without having to outsource and go to work like in a building or whatever.
Yeah, do it from home, right?
So we did that. We made 6 figures our first year, and we want to tell you guys for free how we did it.
For free, how to do it.
So we're going to take you guys for a walk and show you how.
Let's go.
All right, so let's go for a walk. Mr. B's behind the camera there.
Hello.
So if he has anything to add, he's more than welcome to do that, but I'm going to be doing majority of the talking today.
Fantastic.
So let's start with the who, what, where, why, how. We were making our own beef. We were sharing with friends and family and trying to figure out how we could make money while doing that. And so through Instagram, I found Five Mary's Farms and joined their group of entrepreneurs. So that included Hannah from Ballerina Farm and a few other people that are pretty prominent in the Instagram world. In that we got books, this just to prove that's true, I did join it. And just a bunch of random apps and things we could use and different promo codes we could use to get started. So this specific one had the small business from scratch, selling and shipping. This one was just the overview, and then there was the social media from scratch. So this had 3 different books at the time. Now this was back in 2017. So in 2017, we started doing tons and tons of research of how can we make this work? How can we sell direct to consumer and cut out all the middlemen? And so that's when I started doing the research. And then by 2019, we were fully in and selling out off the shelves consistently.
That's right.
So I guess that's kind of it. Now there's tons and tons of different people that do this now. And honestly, I'm not going to say anything rude because these people have blessed us in a lot of ways, but there's so much information you can get for free and you didn't need to. It felt like anything they told us, it was very hush hush. So if someone messaged me on Instagram, it was like, where did you get your boxes? Where did you get your inserts? It was very strongly encouraged by the group to kind of keep quiet because we had paid thousands of dollars to join these groups and people were asking the information for free. Now over time now I've seen how wrong that is and that it was very prideful and selfish. And so kind of to break that mold and break out of that, I suggested to Mr. B that we make this video and he was all for it. And so that's why we're gonna talk about all the bits and pieces now of what that looks like and how you guys can do it yourself too. Okay, so the first thing you need to think about when you're deciding to sell direct to consumer is what animals are you wanting to sell on your farm? Do you have chickens? Do you have beef, cows, or sheep, or goats, or what have you? So we started with cows. Now, to do research on cows, you need to know how much acreage you're gonna need, how much they eat. So cows need about 50 pounds of hay a day in the winter. So we're in northern Canada, which adds to the cost, right? So we started with lowline Angus. Now, when doing research on lowline Angus, they come out the same as regular Angus. They're just smaller in stature, so less leg bone, and they grow a tad bit slower. Now, they don't grow as slow as a Highland, but they are a bit slower than your regular Angus or Simmentals or any of those. Now, Simmentals or Limousines or any of those big cows, they're gonna eat a ton, you guys. Like too much. They're gonna eat too much for a homesteader. That's not the direction you're gonna want to go.
No.
So we started with the low-line Angus, and they were I would strongly suggest that for a homesteader.
Yeah, because they put on the beef the same, with just a little bit less bone.
They do. They're really good. So we did that, and then we did about 30 sheep, and we started big with 200 of our Cornish cross giant chickens. We'll get into those later, but I don't recommend those. So once you choose your animals, you need to know you need an abattoir and you need a butcher. So every state, every country is going to be different. In Canada, northern BC, there's a lot of rules and regulations. So an abattoir is the one that'll do the slaughtering, and the butcher's who's going to cut your cuts how you want them. You can get them one the same, but an abattoir isn't a butcher, but usually a butcher is an abattoir, if that makes sense. So once you find your people, then you can start booking in your animals. You're gonna need 2 years to feed out your animals if you get them from calf, or if you grow them from, like if you're doing cow-calf pairs. So after a bit in our process, we were realizing that 30 cow-calf pairs wasn't enough, like calves being born to, for our clientele. And so that became a struggle. So we ended up going to feedlots and making friends throughout the ranching industry and buying calves from them, growing them out, and then adding them to our feeder program. So we'll get into that later. But basically, to start, you need to make sure you have your abattoir, you need to make sure you have your butcher, and then the chicken one, or any poultry, is a different person. They're not the same. So you're gonna have to now contact a specific for poultry butchery and abattoir. Usually they're smaller, and actually a lot of them are portable, so that's kind of nice. But they're a different program altogether. If you're getting more than 200 birds at a time, in Canada anyway, you have to apply and go through a bunch of loopholes. So trying to stay under that 200 mark, or I think it's 2,000 a year, that's kind of important too. So make sure you do that. Of course, Google and look up all the regulations in your area. So once you have that established, you know the animals you want, you know you have a butcher, you have an abattoir. They're actually the hardest things to find. You typically have to book years in advance. Now I'm going to tell you right now, we had a butcher and he was awful, you guys, awful. I don't even think we got back our beef. Yeah. The animals that came back were way too fatty. He was saying that they weighed way less, and we had a scale at home.
Yeah, so that's key too. So we had, like you just said, we had our own scale at home. Yeah. Some people don't, but we did. So we would weigh them before we took them to the abattoir. The abattoir there. And then he would say they dressed out, or they were at this weight when they came in. Yeah.
So that is really important, that you find someone who's reputable and honest.
Yeah, big time.
So we went through
a friendship,
the notions
right? Get a
of that.
Relationship with them.
What ended up working for us is we posted on a widespread groups on Facebook, asking for a newer up-and-coming butcher if they wanted to partner with our business. And we ended up finding someone, and it ended up being a great partnership. You have to decide if you're gonna be selling quarters, halves, whole beef, or what we did, because it worked for our area, was we sold by the variety box. So let's get into that and kind of talk about what that looks like and the price difference for our clients and for us.
Perfect.
Okay, so now you're gonna want your pencil and notepad or pen or computer or whatever you have, because this is gonna be a lot of information. So let's talk about branding now. So as you can see, our cattle brand, we put directly onto boxes. These are getting haggard because these are the only 2 boxes we have left from when we were doing this 3 years ago. And so this was our medium size and this was our large size. Now, how we went about it is we did quarters, halves, and wholes once a year, but all throughout the year, we did subscriptions of these boxes as well as a smaller one, and then a few other variety boxes like soup bones and animal, like feeding your dog raw, that kind of thing. So for branding, let's talk about that quick. I'll put pictures as well so that you guys get kind of an idea of what I'm talking about, because we don't have the meat with us now. But basically, we got these boxes off UNLINE. You're gonna want to just check your sizes. There's tons and tons of options. The 3 we got, I honestly don't remember what the smaller ones measurements were or anything, but it was about half the size of this. It was enough for like 4 ground beef, and like 2 steaks.
Yeah,
and
2 inches off the top, 4 inches off the
It was taller though.
Yeah.
So
barely.
UNLINE, that's where you're gonna get these. It's very expensive shipping, so buy everything like once a month or like once every couple months if you can.
Pallets.
We would buy it in pallets, and they would come and deliver like an entire pallet boxes. And so the inserts, this is an important one, because I know that a lot of the people within the community of direct to consumer, they use dry ice and then they use an insert that fills this. We went a different route. So we use this stuff that you use, what is this, like gutter?
Yeah.
It's basically like a gutter insulant.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's got the bubble stuff, right? You can pop them.
Okay, so we use this.
With the reflective.
And then we filled it with these freezer bags. So these freezer bags, you can see it says UNLINE on them. And we would fill them. Now, everybody who gave us back our boxes in subscription got, I think it was 10% off their next order. And so we would give them a little card in their box. And if they left their box out for us for deliveries, then we would pick up the boxes and give them their discount. So that saved us a ton of money, honestly, because we didn't do the dry ice because we couldn't find any local to us. I know Ballerina Farm and Five Mary's Farms, they both use dry ice, and they have a like distributor for that. Wow, it's so buggy out here.
I'm getting in alive. Right?
They have a distributor for that, but we could not find one anywhere near us in Canada. And so we opted for this. If you can find one, I would suggest doing it that way. But they also ship. So there's the other difference that we're going to talk about. We could not get our hands on a good shipping, like that ships raw meat. And so I tried a whole bunch of different ways. I'm pretty sure a few other locals, once we stopped doing this, ended up finding someone. But for us, it made more sense in the area we were in. So at the time we lived in southern BC. Lots of you might know Kelowna, BC area. And so it's like a smaller Vancouver. So this version, instead of the half cow, quarter cow, worked so much better because people liked this bougie type feel. So how we did it is, I'll put pictures up, but we used, I'm just gonna pull it up. We twined our meat with a sticker of our brand. And then I used this and this, and we had these seals on them. It felt luxurious. It was a higher end quality. And then of course we did our family photo in it at the time. And then we put in the back, how can we pray for you? And these actually were really beautiful because they got used all the time. We are striving to start a pickup program to reuse our delivery boxes and cold packs. So they would get their discount code, and then we wrote, please leave this card in, and how can we pray for you? So that was a part of our thing, and it actually got used a lot. And then of course we also had the sticker or the stamp. How did we organize it? Let's walk because we're getting eaten alive. So this is how we organized it. I went through Shopify. We're not sponsored by Shopify by any means at all, but that is who we use. So we use Shopify. When the orders would come in, it gave me a sheet of names. When I'd get those names, oh, actually I have to go get that. Let's go back this way. So when I would get the names, I would type their names and I would slap it on the top of the box. So every box had someone's name on the top. Then we would print all their addresses from Shopify, and then we would hand deliver. And that is where it gets very complicated, you guys. Me and Mr. B and a few family members were hand delivering pieces a week. All right, I'm back to where I need to be. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is Dymo label writer. So it would print 2 at a time, and I would be printing off about 300 names, slapping them 300 boxes, weighing each one to make sure that they were according to what our website said. It was a lot of work, you guys. A lot of work. That's not even... So with all that, that is how we made it. So Shopify, I would strongly suggest, because it does all the hard work. So when we first started, I was using, I think, like Vista or some like cheap version of website. And I had to write everybody's name onto a sheet. I had to write everybody's addresses onto a sheet, and it was so much work. When we switched to Shopify, that was a game changer. Also with Shopify, we were able to do subscriptions. So anybody who would order, I think it was more than 3 months, like anybody who did 3 months subscription would get, I think like a, I can't exactly remember, but it's like a 5% discount. And if you did it for up to a year, it was like 10% discount. So why that was beneficial for us is because then we knew how many animals we needed to butcher. So at one point we were doing 4 to 6 every 2 weeks. Now, when you add that up in your head, that is a buttload of animals, you guys. So that's where it started getting complicated and us not having enough animals to reach our demographic.
Yeah.
And because we were in the southern part in a bougie area, it was at high demand, those small boxes, because we were able to sell at a premium price, and we were able to sell by the item instead of by the pound. So if you're kind of used to how meat direct to consumer works, or you've looked into it before, you know most people will sell either by the live animal size or by the pound hang weight. And then you'll buy like your quarter or your half cow, and then you choose the cuts. So for our way, we were basically adult surprise packs, if I may. Nobody really knew what they were getting, but we did have a list of possible things in your meat box. And in those possibilities, people were allowed to write notes with their order of things they absolutely do not want in their order, or things that they would prefer to have in their order from that list. And if they got those items, awesome, but I did say that wasn't guaranteed because it depended what we had in our freezers. Let's talk about freezers quick. I'm gonna jump into that quick. So we really want to have a walk-in cooler. That was our dream. That was our goal. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that going. And so we had 12 deep freezes. We did build a room for them, and it was insulated, and we did all of our building boxes, putting boxes together, all that stuff in this room, and it had the freezers in it. So that's how we went about that. So I want to say, if you're starting this, you don't have to be like, I'm gonna get a walk-in cooler right off the bat. You don't have to do that. We got a whole bunch of freezers, but if one dies, that becomes a humongo predicament, and we had that happen a couple times.
It's where you want a walk-in cooler.
So you will want one, but I'm just saying, if this is your dream,
yeah,
you can absolutely start with some deep freezes. Our deep freezes, we had organized ground beef and stews, roasts in one, lamb in one, chickens in one, and then premium cuts like your ribeye, your tenderloins, and then one for specifically briskets. And then we had a big freezer for beef jerky, pepperoni, sausages. With that, we sold sausages, pepperoni, and jerky all separately. Sometimes, if I was feeling generous, we would throw in one into like a subscriber that had been buying consistently. We'd throw them a few once in a while, which was a good opportunity because they would usually end up buying some in their next order, which was really good. So I would suggest doing that. Getting a butcher that can do sausage, pepperoni, and jerky is really good because you pay quite low for it, but you can sell it really high. So we would take about half of our roast and turn it into those things. And then we would use our roasts in our orders. So our big box that you just saw, that was pretty much all premium cuts. You would have tenderloins in there, ribeyes in there, sometimes a tomahawk in there. And then we'd do, I think, 12 pounds of ground beef because everybody likes ground beef. And then a couple roasts and stuff. So that was like our premium box. Once once it started getting momentum, wow, what am I trying to say?
What are you trying?
Once it started getting...
Like momentum?
Momentum!
You started cruising along and things were grinding and the wheels were greased?
All right. Thank you. Once we started getting momentum in this, we realized that selling and delivering was becoming quite the challenge. So like I said, we were doing anywhere from 300 up in boxes, about 6 cows every 2 weeks, 4 on the lower end. And we were selling our boxes between $150 to $400 each box. So if you want to write that down, you can do all your math on that. But here's where it gets crazy. So we were having to buy cows at this point, or steers, and feed them out. So let's do the math on that.
A few moments later.
We had to move because the bugs were so bad. But let's do some math here. So our beef was selling, let's say, for the bigger box, $400. Now in that box, it was about, what was it, 30 pounds of beef? For the smaller box, it was 15 pounds, and for the smallest box, it was like 7 pounds or something. So if you think about that, you get about 450 pounds per side of beef. So we're talking about almost 1,000 pounds of beef. And each of that was going into those boxes. So if you want to do that math, do that math. So that's how much we were making about per beef. Now, if you're going to sell your beef, if you're going to sell it as halves and quarters, you're going to make a lot less because now you're stuck selling at about $2 a pound. So you can do the math on that. So that's why the direct-to-consumer in variety boxes was so profitable. So for a chicken, it cost us $2 to butcher it, to have it butchered by a certified abattoir, chicken butcher. And we would sell them at $5 a pound. Most of them were 3 to 5 pounds, I think. Depending on the bird. Some of them were huge. So that's where we get into Cornish crosses. Now, we would order 300 birds and only get to butcher about 200 or 150 because those suckers want to die like no one's business.
Oh yeah.
So we actually decided to change to a heritage breed, and they basically never die. So if you're getting into Cornish crosses, yes, they're cheap to buy at chick. They're like $1.50 a chick. They might be more now. This was like 4 years ago, but that's how long it's been because we refuse to buy them. We refuse to do them again. But if you're wanting those big, like what people are used to, those KFC sized chickens, you're gonna have to get the Cornish crosses.
Yeah, because they fill out so quick and then they sit there by the food just...
Yeah, they're awful creatures though.
Yep.
Just, they're so dirty, they stink so bad, and they die left, right, and center.
That's just the honest truth.
And they dehydrate like crazy. So anyways, that's those. That's your choice if you want to get them, or spend a little bit more and sell at a more premium price. And then you don't have to deal with those dying birds. For lamb can sell big money. So for variety boxes of lamb, we did $15 a pound. We also did the variety boxes, but we also would sell them whole. So it depended on what people were wanting. But those ones always sold out, and they sold out, oh, bugs again. And they sold out way faster than anything. So I would strongly suggest doing lamb, especially if you live in an area with more ethnic people. It seems to be a hot commodity for them, the lamb and the goat. So that is kind of up to you on what kind of demographic you're catering to. So when we moved up north, things are way different here compared to down south. So you have to kind of change that. But anyways, back to what I was saying earlier with numbers. So when we started selling too much too fast, the steers were costing us about $3 a pound live weight. So that's with their full bodies, their heads,
2 to
their
3
full
years
bodies.
old, ready to go.
Feeding them out for like a couple months just to get them how we wanted them. But they were relatively ready. So those costing us, actually I'm gonna pull up my phone and do that math for you guys for this one.
Well, we can all just fill it in for the later. All this math we can actually do.
So money was going out as quickly as it was coming in. So why I'm mentioning this is because it's so important that you don't scale up too fast for your homestead, okay? So we scaled too fast, we went full force, and it really did us in. It did us in with our children, trying to homeschool them, our relationship, because we were constantly just talking business. That's all we talked about or cared about. And then as well as just financially, it was that the balancing stopped going from us making a ton to it was starting to do this a bit. And so that is where I'm gonna say, because I think a lot of people think, I'm gonna go to auction, I'm gonna buy all these animals, I'm gonna bring them to a butcher and I'm gonna sell them. If you're buying them for $4,500, $5,000, or even if you're buying them for $3,000, you're gonna have to, and I mean have to, really, really put in the effort to get your branding on point and sell at a super high premium price. Because to make that money back and then some is gonna be really, really challenging. So that's kind of that. That was our big mistake, I would say. In the whole grand scheme of things, it was going too big, too fast, and we couldn't handle.
I would say, like, if you did plan on something like this and you did think you had a very unique situation, that having the property and all these things so that you could expand on site would be huge.
That's right. So let's talk about that actually quickly. That's a great point. About scaling. So if you decide to scale up, you're gonna need property. You're gonna need to be able to hay your own hay, because we were on top of buying those steers, we were also having to buy hay, and our property was too small. We were renting pasture and we were buying hay.
Gotta produce your hay.
We were buying hay for $300 a bale. They were about 1,500 pound bales. Each cow or steer animal eats 50 pounds a day. Some will eat closer to 30, depends on your animal.
You've got a winter situation, right?
But that was all year for us. That wasn't just winter at one point. So if you think about the math on that, we're now talking, we had, if you do the math, we had 100 animals, each eating 30 to 50 pounds of hay. Each hay bale was 1,500 pounds, and it was costing us $300 a bale.
Boom.
Boom. That's your math. When you calculate that, you calculate your steer cost, you're getting up there for sure. Then fuel for delivering, and then the boxes and all that. So the boxes and stuff, at first it was a big upfront cost, but once we started doing the buyback system, that actually worked really, really well. So what is the, I guess, the review of this? Do I believe, or do we believe, that you can make 6 figures homesteading? Yes, absolutely. 100%. What animals are the most profitable? Chicken, lamb, 100%. They were our meat and potatoes, and the beef was just seeing us through, because we were making that. We didn't have to buy any extra lambs. We only sold what we produced. and they eat so much less, and they actually grazed more because they eat less.
Yeah.
So we were able to graze them out for a majority, even on our smaller property. I think the big question people have is, how much acreage do you need? That's a really complicated question.
That's a loaded one, yeah.
Because it depends where you live, what you have. If you look here, this is forest. This is on our property, this is forest. There's some bits of grass here. That's not enough to feed your cows all summer. No. So with that loaded question, it depends. If you have it totally cleared and it's seeded, and it is good, you could probably do quite a few cows. I would say probably 15, 20 cows on a really lush, really good 30 acres.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not haying it. So you're gonna need probably 60 acres to 100 acres with haying and grazing.
Basically an acre a cow.
Basically an acre of cow of good grazing.
Yep.
Now, if you have
That's
this
prime.
situation, you're gonna need a lot more.
Yep.
So I think that a good comparison is we have tons and tons of forest and wetland, but we have a few hundred acres of grazing. Now we can do 100 cow-calf pairs. And if we did that, we would not have to buy extra steers, really. Unless we got to a big scale again, because that was just a ton and ton and ton of animals.
Well, then again, too, is right, when you have like in the north, you have a winter situation. So you're gonna need a field that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Right, for every acre.
Yeah.
You're gonna need one really, really good. And then you also have to have a field that's really, really good for haying.
Exactly.
So keep that in mind.
It gets pretty complicated. So on 500 acres, you could have 100 cow-calf pairs on not good ground. That's kind of that. Now, not many homesteaders have that much land. That's more of a big ranch operation. So for a homesteader, under a quarter section, which is 160 acres, if you're under that, I think you need to really look at your land, and you need to know how much your cows are eating. Get smaller animals. But you can absolutely make good money doing doing sheep and chickens to start, and maybe a few cows here and there if you do it as variety boxes. If you're doing whole, half, and quarter cow, you're not going to make nearly as much money. You'll probably only make back what you buy in hay, honestly. So I guess that kind of is it. So why did we stop? It was all consuming, you guys. We couldn't homestead how we wanted. We couldn't have a big garden. We couldn't spend time with our children like we really wanted, or with each other. Yeah. It became really an entire family endeavor, and it became, all I can say is all consuming. It became our entire life. We were delivering twice a week. We were making boxes twice a week.
Yeah.
So that was 4 days of the week already. And then we were also trying to take care of all of our livestock, keep everybody alive, and we'd have to drive 3 hours to a butcher and an abattoir. It just got so much. So,
and we wanted it to succeed as you would, right? So you're gonna go full tilt, which is what we did.
Yeah, we went full tilt for sure. And so I would say scale it back as much as you think, oh, making a few $100,000 sounds amazing. You're also spending easily $100,000 just on
you said as fast as it's coming in, it's going
It was. And so to scale it back would have been ideal. Now, instead, we actually ran for the hills. We dropped all of our subscribers. We said a big, nice thank you email. We didn't tell anybody where we were going, and we left, and we stopped it all. It was really affecting our overall well-being and health, and so that's why we stopped. Now what we do is we sell live animals, and we give people the opportunity to learn how to process their own animals in more of a hillbilly way, if I may.
Nah, it's professional home harvesting.
I guess. We don't have any stainless steel equipment. We don't have any fancy pulleys or anything. We do it all right in the forest. We hang our beef on a big thing we built
An outside hanger.
Outside hanger on our trees.
We just do what you got to do to get the job done.
And that's how we do it. And that cut out all the middlemen. Now we're not buying boxes. We're not buying, we're not paying butchers or abattoirs, or you pay them by the pound, right? So if you're bringing in big animals, you're paying big money. And so once you deduct all those costs, the boxes, buying the steer, paying the abattoir, paying the butcher, fuel, all that, once you're paying for all that, your margins are going like this really, really quickly. And so what we thought is if we could teach people how to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, that felt way more beneficial to us. So now we sell live animals and we teach people how to harvest it start to finish themselves. And that's been awesome. And so we only sell them a live animal, and then they get to learn the experience, and then they can wrap it and butcher it, whatever cuts they want themselves.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the gear we shifted to.
That is.
And it's something that we found that they actually really, really like. And anybody that's getting into homesteading, if it was me, I'd love it. Because you now get to pick out the steer you want, the cow, the bull, whatever you want to do and whatever you want to harvest, even if it's a lamb. And they get to actually see the animal and go, that's what I'm getting. And then they also get to see the weight of it, right that second, exactly what you're getting.
Yeah, and then processing it, and just like that respect for the animal and learning where meat actually comes from.
Yeah.
And so that's
and
how
what
we
it
went.
takes, right?
And what it takes, exactly. And so if from all this talk that I'm saying, my best suggestion would be doing it that way. If you're able to harvest and slaughter your own animal, doing it that way is just so much cheaper. It's so much quicker. And it's so much less of a hassle.
Yeah, and the wallet likes it, right?
And the wallet likes it. And if you can't do that for whatever reason, you're just not into butchering your own animals, start small doing it the other way, but sell variety boxes if you're in a community that would like that. And with people with smaller freezers too, we found elderly people really liked it. College students really liked it. And so it really catered to a broad spectrum of people. So if you're able to, I say go for it, but don't go full tilt. Just dip your feet in.
Yeah, or you know, get on that plateau, get on that one step, and just hang out there for a bit.
Yeah.
I really suggest you just do that. Yeah, you might be tempted to take that next step, as I understand. But if you just hang out there for a bit, you will...
maybe selling like one whole cow in variety boxes.
Yeah, because you'll benefit. You'll benefit.
Yeah.
Benefit for sure.
Would be a great start.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of it. If you have any questions of things I didn't answer or I forgot about, put them down below and I will absolutely answer them. So please do that, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that we can keep giving you guys videos like this one. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, everybody.